There are so many myths out there about building muscle and losing fat at the same time. Is it optimal? Is it flirty and fun? Is it even possible? The answer is yes. But there's only one way to do it. My waist is getting snatched.
I'm building muscle and losing fat at the same time.
But seriously, is it possible? And for who? What, when, where, how, and why? By the end of this video, you'll have the answer to all of those questions. But wait, why should you even listen to me? Well, I have my bachelor's degree in exercise science. I'm a certified exercise physiologist. I've been in the gym for about 10 years now, and I've been a personal trainer for about 5 years now. Let's start by talking about who can build muscle and lose fat at the same time, which, by the way, the other name for this is called recompositioning. There are 4 main types of people that are able to recomp. The first group of people are the gym noobs. You lucky sons of bitch. I know when you first start going to the gym, it feels like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new. This is intimidating. But this is the time where you can make the most amount of gains and the fastest amount of gains. So don't take this time for granted. The second type of people are those that are obese. If you have a lot of fat on you, this process is going to be a lot easier because fat is basically stored energy that is used to keep your body alive and running. So if you're a lean little jelly bean, the less body fat you have on you, the more your body's going to hold on to fat because it's in survival mode. It's trying to keep you alive. And the leaner you are, the less your body's going to want to use that stored energy in the fat to convert it into building muscle. The third type of people are those that are detrained, like all of us whenever the good old panty hit. The good old Panera sandwich, yeah. We all remember that, don't we? Good times. I remember when that particular event happened, I had lost so much muscle from not going to the gym for over a year. And then as soon as I got back to the gym, the gains were crazy. And the fourth type that I won't recommend and do not promote are those that are on the good old Capri Sun, those that are not natural. But just because you're not in one of these 4 categories doesn't mean you're not going to be able to recomp. Pretty much anybody that doesn't have their diet and training 99.9% on point are able to recomp. If you're not in one of these 4 categories, should you still try to lose fat and build muscle at the same time? Or should you go a more bulking and cutting route where you either focus on building muscle or you focus on losing fat? Well, we'll get into that later, but now I know you're wondering, how do I do this? The single most important thing that you're gonna need is discipline. This is gonna be one of the most difficult things to get a really good hang of, so I'm just gonna save it for the end of the video. Before then, I'll give you a little bit of an easier thing, and that thing is you're gonna need a cute outfit. Like this one is from Define, code Mama Swole. I see a lot of people at the gym training like this. Or like this. Or my personal favorites, like this. So if you want to properly build muscle and lose fats, you need to follow these 3 things when you're training: progressive overload, proper technique, and proper programming, which I have programs on my website, MamaSwole.com. I'm not saying you have to use my programs, but you do. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to. Going back to progressive overload. So if you go to the gym and every time you're lifting the same amount of weight, same amount of reps, it's just same everything, and it's not getting more and more difficult, you're not going to see progress. Bump up something, bump up the weight, bump up the reps, bump up the sets, anything. If you're going and you're swinging the weights around like I just showed you, that's also not good form and you're not going to see much muscle growth from that. So if you follow those 3 steps, you're going to be a-okay. A lot of people think that they can lose weight without paying attention to their diet. And I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely wrong. If you're eating in a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. If you're not eating in a caloric deficit, you will not lose weight. If you don't know what a caloric deficit is, it's basically when you're burning more calories than you're consuming. And that can be done by either decreasing calories, increasing cardio, or both. Building muscle, on the other hand, what can you do to build muscle? Eat protein. Muscles are made from protein. Protein is the building blocks of muscle. What types of food are protein, do you ask? Things like salmon, eggs, chicken, turkey, protein powder, which we will discuss more in a bit. These are just some examples of protein, and you may or may not have to track your calories so that you can get an idea of what is in what you're eating. There are many recommendations out there about what amount of protein every person should have, but the one I like to go to is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. water. You're gonna need a lot of water. And extra tips, if it's in a Hello Kitty cup, water is going to help you digest the protein that you're gonna be eating. It's gonna help you digest everything actually. It's gonna keep you hydrated. It's gonna keep you happy, energized. There are just so many benefits to drinking water. You know what mixes really well with water? Pre-workout. Pre-workout is a great supplement to take. If you ever have one of those days where you don't feel like going to the gym, pre-workout will be your best friend. And just a disclaimer, you don't need this. You don't need any supplements that I'm about to talk about. That's why they're called supplements. Supplements are like the icing on the cake. If you don't have the cake by itself, you're not just gonna want to eat the icing, you know? Well, maybe some people would. And to that I say, you're a freaking weirdo. Build your foundation first and then add the supplements later. The next supplement that has so much research behind it is creatine. I'm not gonna go too much into detail about it in this video because there's so much I could say, but creatine can definitely help build muscle. Plus, look at this packaging. The last one, like I mentioned earlier, is protein powder, and you can't go wrong with protein powder. Most people do not get enough protein in, and this particular protein powder is 21 grams of protein. All of these supplements are from MamaSwole. You can use my discount code MamaSwole. Whoa, who said you could just crawl into bed with me? I don't even know you like that. Sleep is so important. Probably didn't know how important it was because I didn't know how important it was until I heard about this study. In this study, they had two groups of people. Both groups did cardio, but one group slept 8 hours a night every week, and the other group slept 7 hours a night on the weekdays. They got a little bit more extra sleep on the weekends to catch up. At the end of the study, both groups lost the same amount of weight, but the group that got less sleep during the week lost 85% of their weight in muscle. The group that got 8 hours of sleep every night lost 85% of their weight in fat. Is that not mind-blowing? That just goes to show how very important it is for you to sleep. It's time to come back to the discipline thing. Are you guys ready? Because this, like I said, is gonna be the most difficult part. You're gonna have days where you don't feel like doing it. You're gonna have days where you don't want to eat healthy. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to do any of it. But something that is going to be so helpful to realize is that when you say, I just don't want to, you're also saying that you don't want to reach your goals, which obviously that can't be true, right? Or you wouldn't be here with me hanging out. Hey, we're having a good time, aren't we? I thought we were having a good time. There must have been a reason that you ended up here and learned all this from me today. So many people say they want something, and then when it comes down to having to do the things that they have to do to get it, it's all of a sudden like, this is too hard. Honestly, everything's hard. Being overweight is hard. Being unhealthy is hard. The opposite of those things are also hard. You have to choose which hard you want. And that sounds a little provocative, but I don't mean it that way. Please don't take it that way. You will have moments where you don't feel motivated. If you really want something, you will get it. If you actually truly deep down want it, and if you don't, it's because you made an excuse. And you can have results, or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. So which one is it going to be? Remember, when you have those moments where you're not motivated, the discipline comes into play. Now, to answer the question, is it possible to lose fat and gain weight at the same time? It is possible. Should you do it, or should you bulk and cut? Well, it really depends on the person, to be honest with you. Research shows that it is possible. However, it may be very minuscule. Some of the differences could be like 0.2, 0.5, but in real life, if you see somebody and they're like, oh, I lost 0.0005% of fat, can you tell? They would be like, no offense, but no. If you're not in one of the 4 categories that I mentioned earlier, you can recomp, and maybe for some people it will work. However, it might not work the best. It's all trial and error. Honestly, it's a very individualized thing, but if you try it and it's not working, it could be as if you're eating soup with a fork. Can you eat soup with a fork? Maybe very slowly, but it's much easier and optimal to eat soup with a spoon now, isn't it? That is what bulking and cutting is like. It's much more optimal. It's usually just a lot better for most people if they're not in the 4 categories. But I know some people, they don't like bulking and cutting. They don't like going through the drastic changes of gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. They just want to maintain year round, and that's totally okay. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel best mentally is what I recommend, because it is possible for a wide range of people to recomp. However, if you're making a lot of common mistakes like I myself made during my journey, then it's not going to be as possible for you. So go watch this video about the mistakes that I made as a beginner so you don't have to, and subscribe to join the Swole Squad.